Just recently, the North Carolina Supreme Court case came out with Kirby v. North Carolina Department of Transportation, and that involved the recording of the MAP Act related maps involving principally bypasses in various metropolitan areas around the state. In Wilmington, we have the US 17 Hampstead bypass. That's a MAP Act area. There's others in Fayetteville, the Triad area, the Triangle area. Basically every major metropolitan area around the state has these MAP Acts, and MAP Act maps that have been recorded by the North Carolina Department of Transportation for future development of bypasses and future highways. And the stated purpose of that was to protect the land so that they can put the projects in, and also to keep the values of the land down and not to allow future development in there, to make it easier for the state to acquire those properties. The problem with it was that it restricted the property owner's use of the property, and this case went up the at the trial court level. The trial judge found that it was a taking under the North Carolina and the federal Constitution, because you are now taking land, and under the Constitution you have to provide just compensation for that taking. The Court of Appeals affirmed that. The Supreme Court took it up for their review, and they just issued their opinion, and they agreed with the two lower courts and found that this was a taking. So areas whose properties have been artificially depressed based on these maps being recorded, or your property that you have not been able to develop because the maps have been there and no development was allowed in those map corridors, you're entitled to compensation, and we can help you with that. As I said, the Hampstead bypass is one area. The military cutoff extension is another area local to us. And there's other MAP Act areas that have been recorded around the state of North Carolina, and we will happily represent you with your issues against the DOT for these takings, to hopefully provide you with compensation for the taking. As you as a property owner, your next step would be to contact our office, and we will bring you into the office, find out about your property. It is really appraisal driven, based on how the recording of the map has adversely affected the value of your property. We have appraisers who can help us with those evaluations to look at the adverse effects and how your property has been diminished in value. Oftentimes what you see is an artificial deflation, for lack of a better term, of the property values, because people don't want to buy property that's going to be condemned in the future. People don't want to buy property that has restrictions on subdivision or new building, or change of zoning from say residential to commercial, because the corridor, you're in the corridor where the map's been recorded of what the project's going to go through. And so there are ways to value through appraisals, principally, the before and after, before the map was recorded and how that affected you after, and what damages you're entitled to.